There's a weakness growing inside you right now, but it's not what you think. It's not in your body or your circumstances. It's living in your mind, feeding on every comfortable choice, every distraction, every moment you avoid discomfort. Ancient samurai discovered something deliberately hidden from modern society before a warrior could wield a sword. He had to descend into his own personal hell and learn to live there without breaking. This wasn't just meditation or philosophy. It was a powerful psychological technique. Your civilization is built on a lie. That comfort equals strength and ease equals power. Every app, every product, every promise of the modern world tells you to seek less pain, less effort, less struggle. But with each promise fulfilled, you become weaker. The warriors knew what we've forgotten. Pain is unto the enemy of strength. The forge where strength is created. That voice telling you to quit is not wisdom. It's a survival mechanism draining your potential. Subscribe to learn how to master it. There is a weakness inside you that you refuse to name. You feel it in the morning when you wake up without purpose. You feel it when you scroll through your phone, searching for something that will never satisfy you. You feel it when you look in the mirror and see someone you no longer recognize. This weakness is not in your body. It is not in your circumstances. It is in your mind, and it has been growing there for years, feeding on your comfort, your distractions, and your fear of discomfort. The ancient warriors knew this weakness well. They called it by different names across different lands, but they all understood the same truth. A man does not become weak because the world breaks him. He becomes weak because he never learned to break himself first. In feudal Japan, there was a practice among samurai that has been deliberately erased from modern history. It was never written in the famous texts you read about honor and Bushido. It was kept secret, passed only from master to student in the darkness before dawn, because those who truly understood power knew that real strength is built in places where no one is watching. They called it the practice of voluntary descent. Before a samurai could be trusted with a sword, before he could stand in battle, he had to descend into his own personal hell and learn to live there without breaking. This was not meditation as you know it. This was not sitting peacefully under a tree waiting for enlightenment. This was the deliberate cultivation of suffering, the intentional pursuit of everything the mind wants to avoid. Listen carefully to what I am about to tell you, because this knowledge has been hidden from you your entire life. Your weakness exists because you have been taught to avoid pain at all costs. Your entire civilization is built on this lie, that comfort equals happiness, that ease equals strength, that the path to power is found by eliminating struggle from your life. Every product you buy, every service you consume, every technology you adopt promises you the same thing: less friction, less effort, less discomfort. And with each promise fulfilled, you become weaker. The samurai understood what modern society has forgotten. Pain is not the enemy of strength. Pain is the forge where strength is created. Discomfort is not something to be eliminated. Discomfort is the signal that growth is occurring. Suffering is not a problem to be solved. Suffering is the teacher that reveals who you truly are beneath all the lies you tell yourself. But here is where it gets darker, where the real forbidden knowledge begins. There was a practice among elite samurai that has never been publicly documented. They called it the practice of becoming nothing. Students would be sent into complete isolation for weeks with no food except rice and water. No conversation, no books, no distractions of any kind. Just a student and his mind, alone in a small room with nothing to do but face himself. Most would break, but those who survived discovered the secret that few men ever learn. When you remove everything you think you are, what remains is unshakable. When you strip away all the external validation, all the achievements, all the possessions, and you can still sit in peace with yourself, then nothing in the external world can truly harm you. So I ask you, why do you feel weak when you have never truly tested yourself? Why does your mind control you instead of you controlling your mind? What is the one fear you have been avoiding your entire life that is keeping you trapped in patterns you hate? And what would happen if you finally stopped running from your weakness and started using it as raw material for your transformation? If you want to unlock the rest of these forbidden archives from the warrior mind, if you want techniques that have been hidden for centuries, then subscribe to this channel right now, because what comes next will change how you see yourself forever. For centuries, through warfare and discipline, they discovered a dark secret. Your mind is not designed to make you happy. Your mind is designed to keep you safe, to keep you comfortable, to keep you exactly where you are. Every time you feel resistance, every time you hear that voice telling you to stop, to rest, to give up, that's not wisdom speaking. That is the ancient survival mechanism trying to conserve your energy for threats that no longer exist. The modern world has removed most external predators, but your brain still operates as if death is waiting around every corner. So, it tells you to avoid the cold water, to skip the difficult conversation, to stay in bed, to choose the easy path, to never push beyond what feels comfortable. And you listen, because you've been conditioned to trust that voice. But that voice is not you. That voice is the parasite of comfort that has infected your mind, and it will drain every ounce of potential from your life if you let it. The samurai had a morning ritual that would break most modern men within 3 days. They would wake before the sun, while the world was still wrapped in darkness and cold. They would sit outside in winter, wearing minimal clothing, and they would breathe. Not the shallow breathing of a man scrolling through his phone, but the deep, controlled breathing of a warrior preparing for death. They would sit until their body screamed at them to move, until their mind created 1,000 reasons why they should go inside, until every fiber of their being begged for relief. And then they would sit longer. This wasn't about building physical endurance. This was about teaching the mind a fundamental lesson. You are not your discomfort. You are the one who observes the discomfort. You are not your fear. You are the one who watches fear arise and pass away. You are not your weakness. You are the space in which weakness appears, and in that space, you have the power to choose. But this is where it gets darker, where the real forbidden knowledge begins. The samurai discovered that there are two types of men in this world. There are men who run from their inner demons, spending their entire lives building walls of distraction to keep the darkness away. And there are men who turn around, walk directly into the darkness, and make friends with their demons. The first type of man will always be weak, because he is always running. His strength is spent on avoidance, on denial, on the exhausting work of pretending he is not afraid. The second type of man becomes unbreakable, because he has seen the worst parts of himself and chosen to integrate them rather than reject them. He has sat with his rage until he understood its source. He has faced his shame until it no longer controlled him. He has stared into the abyss of his own inadequacy until he realized that the abyss was just another illusion. This is the practice modern psychology is only now beginning to rediscover, but the warriors knew it centuries ago. They called it shadow work, though that name would come much later. They understood that every man has a beast living inside him, a primal force of violence, destruction, and chaos. Most men fear this beast. They lock it away, deny its existence, pretend they are civilized creatures who have evolved beyond such darkness. But denying the beast does not make it disappear. It only makes it grow stronger in the shadows, until one day it breaks free and destroys everything you have built. The samurai took a different path. They acknowledged the beast. They trained with it. They learned to channel its power without being consumed by it. They understood that true strength is not the absence of darkness, but the mastery of it. So, the next time you feel that pull towards comfort, that whisper telling you to take the easy way out, recognize it for what it is. The old survival program running on outdated software. It's a mechanism designed for a world that no longer exists. True growth, true strength, lies on the other side of that resistance. It's in the cold water. It's in the difficult conversation. It's in facing the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. This isn't just about discipline. It's about liberation. It's about taking back control from the ancient programming that wants to keep you small and safe. It's about becoming the master of your own mind, not its prisoner. Turn and face the beast. Learn its name. It's the only path to becoming truly unbreakable. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more. Have you ever heard of a technique, whispered down through ancient warrior schools, that was never written down? It was deemed too dangerous for the unprepared, too powerful for those who hadn't trained their minds. They called it the practice of becoming nothing. Imagine this: a student is sent into complete isolation. Days, sometimes weeks, with nothing but rice and water. No talking, no books, no distractions. Just the student and their mind, alone in a small room, forced to face themselves. Most of us can't handle 15 minutes of silence without reaching for our phones. These students sat in that silence for days on end. And in that profound quiet, something incredible happened. All the noise, all the identities they had built, all the stories they told themselves about who they were, all just dissolved. What was left was the raw, unfiltered truth of their existence. Many couldn't handle it. They'd emerged shattered. But the ones who survived, the ones who could sit with that terrifying emptiness and not run, they were transformed. They had discovered a secret that few ever learn. When you remove everything you think you are, what remains is unshakable. When you strip away all the external validation, all the achievements, all the possessions, and you can still sit in peace with just yourself, then nothing in the outside world can truly harm you. This is the real foundation of a warrior's power. It's not about the strength to conquer others, but the strength to conquer yourself. Now, let's be honest. Why do you sometimes feel weak? It's because you've never truly tested yourself. You've never pushed past the point where your mind screams at you to quit. You've never sat with your discomfort long enough to realize it can't actually hurt you. You haven't fasted until you understood hunger is just a sensation, or trained until you discovered exhaustion is negotiable. You've never been alone long enough to realize that loneliness can be your greatest teacher. You've lived your whole life inside the comfortable boundaries of what feels safe, and then you wonder why you feel powerless when life demands more. The modern world offers an endless buffet of escape. Feel anxious, you scroll, feel lonely, you text, feel empty, you consume, feel weak. You watch a motivation video that gives you a 10-minute high before you rewrite back where you started. This isn't entirely your fault. You've been conditioned to be this way. Every app, every platform is designed to keep you in a loop of craving and temporary satisfaction. It never allows you to sit with that underlying emptiness long enough to transform it. But here's what the algorithm will never tell you: that emptiness is not your enemy. That void you keep trying to fill is actually the doorway to your power. The samurai knew this. They called it mu, the void, and they spent their lives learning to rest in it, not run from it. Think about the last time you did something truly difficult with no one watching, no one knowing, and no reward. Can you even remember? Most can't because their self-worth is built on external validation, on likes, comments, and the approval of others. The warrior builds his worth in the dark. In the private moments, he wakes up before dawn, not for praise, but because he made a promise to himself. He trains when he's exhausted, not because a coach is watching, but because he knows the man he will become in battle is forged in these invisible moments. He meditates not because it feels good, but because he is teaching his mind who is in control. Your journey to true strength doesn't start with a bang. It starts in the quiet moments of discipline, when you choose to face the void instead of filling it. That's where you'll find the unshakable person you were always meant to be. Thanks for watching. This is the knowledge that has been kept from you. You don't need more motivation or inspiration. You don't need someone telling you that you're special or that you can achieve your dreams. What you truly need is to descend into the darkness of your own mind and learn to function there. You need to deliberately expose yourself to the discomfort you've been avoiding your entire life. You need to stop running from your weakness and start using it as the raw material for your transformation. The samurai didn't become strong by affirming their strengths. They became strong by acknowledging their weakness and then systematically destroying it through practice. There was a particular form of training elite warriors underwent called the death meditation. Once a month, they would spend an entire night contemplating their own death in vivid detail. They would imagine the sword cutting through their flesh, the feeling of their life force draining away, the final moments before everything went dark. This wasn't morbid or depressing. It was the most practical psychological training ever developed. By repeatedly exposing themselves to the reality of their mortality, they stripped it of its power over them. When a samurai walked into battle, he was already dead in his mind. He had died 1,000 times in meditation, so when the real moment came, there was no fear, no hesitation, no panic, just pure presence and action. Now, compare this to the modern person who lives their entire life pretending death doesn't exist, and then collapses into existential terror the moment they receive a serious diagnosis or face a real threat. Let me ask you something, and I want you to pause and really consider this question. What are you afraid of? Not surface evil fears like spiders or public speaking. I mean the deep existential fears that control your life from the shadows. Are you afraid of being alone? Are you afraid of being insignificant? Are you afraid that if people really knew you, they would reject you? Are you afraid that you're not as capable as you pretend to be? Are you afraid that you've wasted your life and it's too late to change? These are the fears that make you weak. These are the invisible chains that keep you trapped in patterns you hate, and the only way to break these chains is to drag them into the light, to face them directly, to sit with them until they lose their power over you. The ancient warriors had a saying that has been mistranslated and misunderstood for generations. They said, "The obstacle is the path." Modern people think this means you should be grateful for your problems or find silver linings. But the warriors meant something much darker and more practical. They meant that your weakness isn't something to overcome so you can then become strong. Your weakness is the actual material you use to build strength. The obstacle is not in the way of the path. The obstacle is the path. Your fear isn't blocking you from courage. Your fear is the teacher that reveals what courage actually requires. Your pain isn't preventing you from growth. Your pain is the signal that growth is occurring. Here is the practice they used, and I'm going to give this to you exactly as it was taught, because this knowledge is too powerful to keep hidden. Every single day, you must do one thing that makes you uncomfortable. Not dangerous, not stupid, but genuinely uncomfortable. Take a cold shower and stay in it until your mind stops screaming at you to get out. Sit in silence for 30 minutes without any distraction. Have the difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Train your body past the point where it wants to quit fast for a day. Spend an evening completely alone without any screen time. The specific action doesn't matter as much as the principle. You must teach your mind that discomfort is not dangerous, that you are capable of functioning in states that feel unpleasant, and that the voice telling you to quit is not the voice of truth. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more. Here's the part most people miss, the part that separates the warrior from the pretender. You can't do this practice with the goal of feeling better. You can't expose yourself to discomfort because you think it will eventually lead to more comfort. That's just another form of avoidance. You must learn to be at peace with discomfort itself. You must develop the capacity to sit in the fire and not need it to stop burning. This is the transformation that ancient training was designed to create. Not men who were comfortable, but men who were unshakable regardless of their circumstances. Not men who had eliminated suffering from their lives, but men who had mastered the art of suffering consciously. The samurai understood something about the human mind that modern neuroscience is only now confirming. Your brain is constantly generating predictions about what will happen next. And most of your suffering comes not from what's actually happening, but from the gap between what your brain predicted and what reality delivers. When you expect comfort and encounter discomfort, you suffer. When you expect success and encounter failure, you suffer. When you expect validation and encounter rejection, you suffer. But when you train your mind to expect nothing, to be prepared for anything, to find stability in uncertainty itself, then the gap disappears. Reality is just reality. Discomfort is just a sensation. Failure is just information. Rejection is just an event. None of it has the power to break you, because you have already broken yourself in training and learned how to rebuild. There is a reason why monks and warriors throughout history have always lived at the edges of society, why they removed themselves from the comfort of civilization, why they chose harsh environments and difficult practices. It wasn't because they were running away from life. It was because they understood that the soft life creates soft men, and soft men cannot handle the inevitable hardness that reality brings. They were preparing for the truth that modern society tries to hide from you. Life is suffering, and comfort doesn't eliminate suffering, it just makes you weak when suffering arrives. He made the decision to face fear so many times that fear became familiar, and familiarity removed its power. The monk was not born with a quiet mind. He made the decision to sit with his chaotic thoughts so consistently that eventually the chaos settled on its own. The warrior was not born disciplined. He made the decision to act according to his principles rather than his feelings, over and over, until discipline became his nature. Your strength is waiting for you on the other side of that decision. So, what will you decide today? Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more. You have the same capacity they had. You have the same mind they trained. You have the same choice they made. The only difference is that they chose the difficult path and you have been choosing the easy one. But that can change today. That can change right now. Not through some grand transformation or dramatic shift, but through one simple decision. To stop running from your weakness and start using it as your training ground. To stop seeking comfort and start seeking capacity. To stop avoiding discomfort and start recognizing it as the signal that you are growing into someone stronger. The practice starts now. Not tomorrow when you feel more motivated. Not next week when things are less busy. Now, in this moment, while the knowledge is fresh in your mind and you can still feel the pull towards something greater than the life you have been living. The ancient warriors left you a path, but only you can walk it. They left you techniques, but only you can practice them. They left you wisdom, but only you can apply it to your own life. And here is what they would tell you if they were standing in front of you right now. Stop waiting for permission to become strong. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to start. Stop waiting for someone else to show you the way. The way is simple, the way is clear, the way is uncomfortable, and that is exactly why it works. Before we end, I need you to do something. In the comments below, answer this question with complete honesty. What is the one thing you have been avoiding because it makes you uncomfortable, and what would change in your life if you finally faced it? Do not write something generic. Do not write something that sounds good. Write the actual truth, the thing you are genuinely afraid of confronting, because naming your weakness is the first step toward transforming it. The samurai kept journals where they documented their fears and failures with brutal honesty. This was not weakness. This was the practice of self-awareness, of seeing clearly what needed to be worked on. So be honest in the comments. Name the thing, make it real. And in the naming, begin the process of reclaiming your power. This channel exists to bring them into the light, to give you the knowledge that the modern world has deliberately kept from you. Each video is another piece of the puzzle, another tool for building unshakable inner strength. Do not rely on the algorithm to show you the next one. Subscribe so you never miss an archive. Your transformation depends on it. The weakness you feel is not permanent. It is not who you are. It is simply the result of years of conditioning, years of choosing comfort over growth, years of avoiding the very practices that would make you strong. But every day is a new opportunity to choose differently. The samurai rebuilt their power through daily practice, through consistent exposure to difficulty, through the accumulation of small victories over the voice that told them to quit. You can do the same. Starting today, starting now. The path is waiting. The only question is whether you will walk it.